No worries. Thank you. We're just waiting a few more minutes for everybody to get back in. And I was asking you, did you have any questions concerning the floor lamp? We were talking about the floor lamp. Anybody had any questions concerning the floor lamp? Do you wrap the wire when installing the balloons in the lamp? The question was, do you wrap the wire when installing the balloons in the lamp? You can do that several ways. You can either make your garland onto a string, balloon string, monofilament line, or 260 Qs, whatever you are used to using, and just make the full garland, and then you can push the whole garland onto the lamp. If you do not do it that way, you can place your garland or your balloons directly onto the lamp to form your column. So you can make them right onto the lamp, or either you can make your garland onto a string and push it onto the lamp. Okay, let's go to our next item. The next one is going to be a metal pole. Now this particular pole I had made years ago, so I can't really even tell you where you can get these made at. I had this particular pole made about 15 years ago. It is a metal pole. It's kind of heavy, kind of sturdy. It stands about 5 feet tall. And if you can see right in the middle of the picture, kind of a little bit above, it has an extender that extends an additional 4 feet tall. So I would say altogether, this particular pole will extend or go up to about 9 feet tall. And I would suggest that you Google a metal or a welding company to see if you can have these particular poles made for you. Now this particular pole I would definitely use outside. And depending on where you live, you may have to put some additional sand weights at the bottom to get to make sure it's sturdy, because I know like in the California area, the wind is really, really bad, and they really need something that's going to be stable for outside. Let me see, I have another question. Okay, someone wanted to know why is the floor lamp not good to be used outside? Because that floor lamp is basically, the floor lamp is basically like a hard plastic. It's not metal. So, and you can just basically kind of hit up against it and it'll move, or it may fall. So, especially for people that are in windy areas, I would not suggest that you use the floor lamp outside. But you can test it and try it. If it works for you, then go for it. Okay, any additional questions on the metal pole? Again, this particular pole, you can Google a welding or a metal company and have this particular pole made. And I do rent these poles, and I go back and get them because, you know, this is something that I've had in my inventory for a long time. Now, the floor lamp poles, I do not go back and get, and it's your choice. You can go back and get the floor lamp pole, or you can put the expense and charge the customer for the pole and leave it there. But I just feel that it's not worth my time to go back and get an $8 pole, but it's your choice. What works for you, that's what I would do. Now, the last option that we're going to talk about is a pole that you can make on your own. As you can see on the screen, I have this particular pole, and it's a PVC pole. The supplies that you're going to need for this PVC pole is a 1-inch PVC, and you'll see that in the screen right there, the white pole at the bottom. You're going to need a 12 by 12 3/4 plywood. You'll see that on the screen. And you're going to need a 1-inch flange. And of course, some screws. This particular pole you can make on your own. And you can use it outside, but if you do use it outside, I would add some more weight to the bottom, like a bag of sand, or you can even purchase a weight from Target or somewhere and place it down through the PVC pipe so you can give it some additional weight. So, any questions on making your own pole? So let's just recap. We talked about the different stands and poles that you can make for your columns. The first one was the floor lamp. That is very easy. A lot of people use it, and I have even seen people use it for centerpieces because you can unscrew the different poles and you can make it short, or you can make it as tall as about 5 feet. So we talked about the floor lamp, which you use inside, and you can go back and get the floor lamp, or you can charge it to the customer and allow them to keep it. The second pole that we talked about was the metal pole. You can Google a metal or a metal company to see if they can they can make these poles for you. And once you get the poles made, I'm sure they're going to pay for themselves because you're going to rent them out to the customer and go back and get them each time. But they are more sturdier, especially if you're doing a lot of outdoor work. Okay? And the last one, again, we talked about was the make your own pole, which was the PVC, which you're going to need the plywood, the PVC, and a flange and some screws. So any questions on either 3 of those poles? No questions? You guys be blowing me up with questions on my page. What questions do you have concerning these poles? And you can look at whatever distributor you buy your supplies from. I use Burton & Burton, and I'm sure people use all kind of different distributors. They also sell poles that they've already made that you can do your columns with. So check out your distributor that you use. They sell poles as well that you can make or use for your balloon columns. So those were just the 3 that I'm familiar with and that I use the most. So I wanted to just give you information on what I have already used. But if we don't have any more questions, we're going to go right into how much should I charge? Okay, so a lot of people have been blowing me up, asking me, how much should I charge? Okay, how much should you charge? I'm going to let you decide on that because it varies for everybody depending on your location, depending on your supplies, your labor, and your expense. So this is a good thing for you to use when you're trying to figure out how much to charge for your designs. You're going to add up your supplies, add in your labor, and you're going to add in your expenses. Once you add in your labor, your supplies, and your expenses, okay, your supplies are going to be your balloons, your string, helium, things of that nature. Your labor is going to be what you feel you are worth. Are you worth $20 an hour? Are you worth $30 an hour? Whatever you feel that you are worth, that's what you're going to add into that labor cost. After that, you're going to add in your expenses. Your expenses are going to be things like your mileage. Did you have to buy somebody lunch? Did you have to pay for a meal? Did you have to get a tire fix? Those are going to be your expenses. So once you add in your supplies, your labor, your expenses, that should give you a good ballpark of how much you should be charging for your designs. Also, I also recommend that once you come up with that price, you would want to do research in your area to determine if that price is too high, if it's too low, or if it's just about right. Because you don't want to be bidded out of the ballpark for being too high, but you still don't want to be underbidding yourself. So add in your supplies, add in your labor, add in your expenses, do your research to see what other people are charging in your area, and then quote your price accordingly. Now, what price I have been given on this particular balloon column is $65 to $150. That is a ballpark of what the average balloon artist would charge for this particular balloon column. $65 to $150. Tell me what you would charge. Give me your feedback on this particular column. Let me see what you would charge. Give me some numbers in the comment. Let me see what you would charge. What would you charge for this particular column? Just off the top of your head without adding in the information. Somebody said 55. AJ said 55. Okay. Somebody said 75. Great, great. Another 75. Another 75. A 75 here. A 70 there. Sounds like an auction. We got another 75. We got another 65. Another 65. 75. 75. 75. Okay, so look like most of the average people would charge about 75, but I have gotten people that said that they would charge as much as 150. So like I said, it depends on the area that you're in, your supplies, your labor, your expenses, and what everybody else is charging in your area. Okay, so other than that, I do not have anything else to share. I'm going to go to my questions and see what people have been asking. Let's see. I'm going to press this button. Let's see if it works. No, I don't see anything down there. So I had someone to write down a couple of questions. Let me go and see. How much do you charge for your columns? For this particular column, I would charge $75. That's pretty much the going price in my area. And like I said, you have to see what people are charging in your area. So I would charge between 75, and I would say 75 and 85. Depends on the topper. But for this particular one, it would be between $75 and $85. Okay, let's see what the next question. What is your YouTube? Somebody want to know what's my YouTube? Okay, my YouTube as well as my Instagram page is It's a Floral Affair, and I'm going to type that in, so just give me a minute. That's what that's my YouTube and my Instagram page. So if you're not following me on Instagram, then follow me, because I do put out a lot of good information. I do share a lot of good videos, and I do a lot of polls. I don't want you to just know what I would do. I want you to know what your community of balloon people would do. So make sure you're following my page at It's a Floral Affair. And I want you to go to YouTube, check out that YouTube video on how to disassemble that balloon, that lamp pole. You can also go to my Instagram page and go to my profile. I have a link there that will show you or take you directly to my YouTube page on how to disassemble that floor lamp. So again, if you're not following me, go ahead and follow me on Instagram. Check out my YouTube channel. If you like what you see, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Any more questions? Any more questions? We have time to take a few more questions. If not, I want to again thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you. DM me, tell me what you thought about the chit chat. Give me some information on what you thought about the chit chat and things that you would like for me to discuss in the future. Again, thanks for joining. I appreciate each of you so much. Any additional questions that you may have, please share them with me. You can DM me and I will get back with you as soon as I can with your other additional questions. Again, thanks for joining. I hope the information was meaningful and helpful to your businesses. Thank you so much. Appreciate all of you. Thanks for following.
Don't go. Don't go.